Namaskaram girls. Last class we saw about the American War of Independence, how the British colonies make the colonies and how they impose the taxes, how the people has suffered a lot under the control of the British. This all we saw in the American Revolution. Now French Revolution, this was in the year 1789. Before the French Revolution, this was the unchallenged power of the France when compared to other countries. So 140 years they don't have any interpretations, any nothing. Perfect ruling was going on in the 140 years during the period of Louis XIV and the palace of Versailles. This Versailles palace shows the royal absolutism in France. Okay, so suddenly the power during the time of the winter of the 1789, the power was changed under the period of the Louis XVI. This Louis XVI asked to summon the Estate General. Estate General consists of three bodies, that is clergy, nobles, commoners. Clergy in the sense the men and women who do duty of the religious, they are called as a clergy. Nobles, next commoners. Commoners consist of the lawyers, merchants, artisans, banks, those who are working in the banks, and they have landowners, all they are called as commoners. So the nobles have to obey the word of the nobles and the king. So this is the one, they themselves formed a national assembly and gathered at tennis court, because all these together only is a estate general, but the Louis doesn't allow anybody to gather. So the commoners decided to form a group in the tennis court. So they have taken an oath. So what they have taken, not to disperse until they gave them a constitution. So when they gave preference for them only, we have to disperse. Until then we should not disperse. They have taken an oath in the tennis court, because National Assembly, which was under renovation, so that they have taken an oath in the tennis court. So when you see causes of the French Revolution, political, economic and society. Political in the sense, Louis XIV period was very, very powerful. They don't have any irregularities like anything. So after Louis XV has taken the power. Louis XV is somewhat okay. They don't have any trouble. When during the period of the Louis XVI, he was under the control of the Queen Marie Antoinette, who lives in the luxurious life, and the people believed in the divine right theory of kingship. That means the king is a representative of God. But it was opposite. The people hated the king and the queen. This is a political causes for the French Revolution. When you come for economics, the treasury was very, very, very bankrupt. Bankrupt means there was no money. Gajana Kali Solomla, bankrupt. Why? Because they involved in the 7 years of war. 7 years of war means, in the sense, they are helping for the other countries to involved in the war. Apart from that, the luxurious lifestyle of the king and the queen was there. Marie Antoinette, they spend more money for their luxurious life, not taking care of the people under them. So this becomes an economic level, economic problems in the France. The finance minister, Turgot, Necker, Colonel and Brainy, these three people have asked the king, they gave a suggestion to reduce of the tax for the peasants, and also they have to reduce their luxurious life. Luxurious life, expenditure have to be minimized. So they gave advice, but this they didn't. The king doesn't give the support for the advice, and the king was dismissed these finance ministers. So they have dismissed from the court, from the king's court, and they support for the peasants. That becomes half of the revenue they want to pay for the loans. So under these circumstances, Louis XVI was forced to convene the Estate General. So the king doesn't allow the three bodies together, nobles, clergy and commoners. That is one of the weak point also. Next is social. Social in the society is become very worsened because of the rise of harvest was not there, harvest period was not proper. So this created a price rise of the bread. The peasants of the countryside, laborers, artisans, they have affected. They were hunger of the land, they were hungry, hunger riots was there. So during the period of the Louis XVI, many people become a beggar. So 1777, 11 lakh beggars was there. When you compare for the clergy, they were the minority, 1,30,000. So the clergy asked to pay the taxes, that is tithe. This was collected from the people, common people. The nobility, they are the nobility, that is 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 10,000. They enjoy the land. They are the landowners. They were enjoying the feudal rights. They collected the dues from the peasants. Their land was tilted by the peasants. So the farmers make the feudal, many mills. They form the productions more. So this is the one of the nobles. Next, when you come for the middle class, they have to pay the taxes for they all form that is artisans. All the commoners have to pay the tax from the third estate. So they didn't give any privileges. They are asked to pay the tax, that is tally, land tax, gabla, salt tax, free labor, that is for construction of roads, public roads. So these are the tax they have to pay. Next, inspiration of French philosophers. That is, French philosophers create the inspirations for the society to develop. There were three important philosophers during the period of the 18th century. Many thinkers, writers, famous writers. One among them was Voltaire, 1694 to 1778. When he was imprisoned and banished, he had to live at Ferozzi near Geneva. Have you heard the town Geneva Girls? So Voltaire, Montesquieu, Rousseau, they all have says about the conditions in France. So Voltaire, a prolific writer, activist, and he started to write the criticism of the church. His famous work, Candide. The another great thinker, Voltaire, younger to him was Jacques Rousseau. Rousseau 1712 to 1778, his political theory, many new ideas, new results played an important only for the people of the France. His book Social Contract, Man is born free but is everywhere in chains. he mentions about that. He get the support from the will of the people. Will of the people means the people liked by him. So people like the Rousseau. Next, Montesquieu, 1689 to 1755. He has written the prison letter. In this one, he mentions about the liberty and spirit of laws. He put forward the theory of separation of powers, the liberty of individuals. All this have mentions in the three organs, legislature, executive and judiciary, were separated and noted for the rights. So as I said, encyclopedia, that is encyclopedia in Paris during this period was Detroit, Jean d'Alembert. These are the two philosophers, thinkers opposed to the religious intolerance, political and social privileges. Okay, these are the one of the Encyclopedia of France. At last, American War of Independence in 1776. With the establishment of American Republic, inspired the French Revolution and provided them a model. So American Revolution is a model for the French Revolution, to have a revolution in France. Okay, this was great. France supported for the America against the British, isn't it, girls? So this is the American War of Independence, which was taken in the year 1776. That is, France supported for the America. Okay, so French Revolution causes, this all we have saw in this session, girls. Thank you, girls.